He's super competitive. He wants to bring a winner to the Carolinas. He's, wants it now. Wants it now, and pushes me and pushes us to that end. He wants to do whatever it takes and turn over every stone, churn it as much as he has to produce winning football. So I appreciate those conversations. They're always very challenging. He's a super competitive person, and he's not going to sit idly by. There's different philosophies in ownership. You know what I mean? Some owners kind of stay away and don't engage a whole lot. Other owners do, and his philosophy is he's going to engage. And listen, it's only been a short experience, but it's been a really good experience. It hasn't been fun. It's not fun. Those meetings aren't. I wouldn't characterize them as fun meetings, but those meetings make me better, and I trust they make us better.
Kind of hard to reconcile. It's been a good experience. It hasn't been fun, with hardly a beat between the two observations from Frank Reich, who had to deal last year with Jim Irsay. And from a personality standpoint, I can't imagine two owners more different than Jim Irsay and David Tepper for a variety of reasons, for any and every reason you could imagine. But it feels like Irsay was getting more involved with the team last year in Indy and ultimately decided he had this crackpot idea to bring in Jeff Saturday to try to will him into becoming a competent NFL head coach, despite having absolutely no experience in coaching other than, I think, high school. And now David Tepper, self-made, hard-charging, hedge fund billionaire who desperately wants to will his way to having a winning team. And this is one of the things I love about football, even though it drives the fans crazy. You get these folks who have carved out a very important niche for themselves, or niche if you're feeling particularly fancy, in some sort of business where they've been wildly successful and they've earned billions. And they think that accomplishment is transferable to the NFL. And it's not transferable to the NFL. I mean, the most successful owner of the last 30 years, who bought his team nearly 30 years ago, is Robert Kraft. And what did Robert Kraft do to win 6 Super Bowls? He took the keys, he found someone he trusted with the keys, and he threw the keys to him. And he went to the suite and started schmoozing with the likes of Bon Jovi and others while he's watching the game and trusting Bill Belichick to do it all. David Tepper wants to get in there. He wants to get his hands in the dough, Charean. And so far, he hasn't done a good job putting his hands in the dough, because I think people are starting to wake up to the fact, or the perception, and perception's reality, that Tepper wanted Bryce Young. And I saw somebody retweet an old Shefty tweet from March. Tepper likes Young, and Reich likes C.J. Stroud. And how's that worked out so far?
Yeah, 5+ seasons he's owned the team, Mike. 29-53 with Tepper as their owner. This doesn't work like it does in the business world. You don't just step in, turn it around, and get involved in something that you really don't know anything about. I mean, Kraft did it the right way, handing the keys over to Belichick. They got lucky with Brady, and here they are 6 championships later trying to figure out how to duplicate that over again. But so far, you're right. They picked Bryce Young, and C.J. Stroud has been the better quarterback so far. Maybe that, I mean, it's a small sample size. So 5 years from now, we may be saying both teams did great in this. But right now, today, it looks like Stroud's the better quarterback between the two guys. I think he has I don't even know that. I was going to say he has a better roster, but I don't even know that he does, because the Panthers' defense is better than the Texans' defense. So I don't even know that. But right now, Stroud is the better player. I've watched every one of his games. He's been terrific. He led them, in fact, to last second what they thought could be the winning points in the final 2 minutes against the Falcons last week. He did what he needed to do to win that game. It was just that the Texans defense couldn't stop the Falcons from going down and winning at the end of the game. So very good quarterback. They had their choice of quarterbacks. As you look back on it, biggest game of the last season, Mike, the biggest regular season game of last season, or one of them, was the Texans winning in Week 18. And everybody ripped Lovie Smith for winning that game. As it turned out, he might have done him a favor because they would have taken Bryce Young as well.
You think they would have taken Bryce Young?
I do.
Man, the issue with Bryce Young, and great kid, interviewed him right before the draft, but, they tell us it's a copycat league, and one of the biggest storylines last year is Tua Tagovailoa might not be big enough to thrive as a quarterback in the NFL, so the first pick the next year is a small quarterback. That didn't make any sense to me, to the extent that we see how teams jump on to the trends and react to the trends, because you've got owners who are going to ask you tough questions. But in Carolina, the owner became smitten with Bryce Young. We saw the little breadcrumbs throughout the draft process. He's there at the workouts. He loved the family, loved Bryce Young. They put so much stock in the S2 processing test, which C.J. Stroud apparently bombed, but he processes on the field pretty damn well. So the whole thing to me is mesmerizing, and you can't convince one of these type A double positive personalities who have been wildly successful in some other line of business that football isn't easy. It looks easy. I've been watching it all my life. I understand it. I get it. I'm good at learning concepts and processing in my own way, and I can come up with the right decisions to make as to how our team is going to be positioned for success. And you rattled off the numbers. It hasn't been good with David Tepper as the owner of the Carolina Panthers. And really, being a minority owner of the Steelers is not quite the incubator that you would think it is. Jimmy Haslam came out of there. What have the Browns been the last 11 years? Not very good, although there's some reason for hope now, but we'll see. The Panthers have not been good with Tepper going from Steelers to Carolina. And Josh Harris and one of his main limited partners owned a piece of the Steelers before buying the Commanders. How's it looking so far there? Too early to tell. We'll see what kind of moves they make after the season. But, again, I think a lot of these owners believe it's far easier than it is. So they get themselves involved, when the easiest thing to do is just go be a fan. Focus on the business side of it. Kraft got it right. And, we talked about Jerry Jones last segment. He had Jimmy Johnson. Maybe Jimmy Johnson overcame the potential interference, worked around the personality of Jerry Jones as best he could to build a winner despite what Jones would have done. I mean, think about it. If somebody bought a team now and installed himself as general manager, in today's media environment, it wouldn't work. Jones got away with it because he pulled it off just before the media world exploded in a way that would have shouted him down from ever even thinking about making himself the GM. 1989, far different than where we are today. And even though he's done it for 34 years, the team has been at its best when he hasn't been the one with his hands on the wheel, Charean. So I guess that's a lesson to all the owners out there. Look at what Kraft did. Look at what Jones has done. Look at what's happening with Tepper and ask yourself, can you resist the temptation? Can you suppress your own ego to just kind of sit there and be a fan? Enjoy the food and drink and the sweet. Hobnob with your VIP guests and let the football people make the football decisions.
I wonder if David Tepper had a homeless man whisper to him to take the short quarterback. He was the choice. But you're right, Mike. I think the Steelers have the right idea. The Patriots have the right idea. And you would think those guys who came out of the Steelers organization saw how they worked. They hire a coach. They keep that coach. And they're contenders every year. And that's the way you do it. And the Patriots did it, obviously, with Belichick, and they're figuring out now how to do it with the next, whoever the next coach is going to be, whoever the next quarterback's going to be. It's not going to be Mac Jones probably for much longer. But, they're still trying to figure it out. But that is the way you do it. You let the football people run the football show.
Charean, I think we've accidentally stumbled onto something because I disagree with your assessment of the Steelers. I think Art Rooney II, under the guise of collaborative decision-making, cooperative, nobody takes credit, nobody gets blame. I think Art Rooney, in a very low-key, quiet, discreet way, has his hands as deep in the dough as David Tepper does. And maybe that's why Haslam has been involved and Tepper has been involved, and maybe Harris will be involved. They've seen secondhand Art Rooney do it. And so they think that's the way you do it. And Art Rooney has the ability to suppress his own ego where there's no breadcrumb trails of him being involved in running the team and involved in some of the decisions that never get credited to him, and he never gets the blame for those decisions either. So it's something to keep an eye on as more and more owners learn the hard way that it's far better to find a way to just hire somebody you trust and let that person do the job. It's easier said than done. Hell, if I owned a team, I don't know that I'd be able to do it. And fans of every NFL franchise should be very happy that I don't own a team, because I probably would decide, you know what? This isn't all that hard. Yeah, I like that guy. I don't care if the coach likes the other guy. I like that guy, and damn it, it's my team. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.